And he was telling them how they was going to use the fluoride to poison the water. He was giving them the whole MK Ultra rundown of the control measures that they would be using to call the masses. And they wanted to foment this race war so that they can come in and resolve the matter. Once they come in and resolve the matter, then they got the pale face and the red face or brown face in their service like they did in the Civil War. It's just a repeat, right? And so when they realized that Charles Manson became a liability, he went rogue. That's right. When he became a liability, the CIA said, we got to deal with him. So they sent this brother who was a FBI agent, not a brother like Brownskin, this dude named Tex. And if you go back and you read the original police reports, all of the girls said, Tex said Charlie wanted us to kill the La Bianca and the Tates. Charlie never told us, right? And both murders, the second murder, they said Charles Manson came, but he didn't stay. But that's because he was never there. He was still out at what they called the People's Ranch, where he was teaching these middle-class runaways and refugees about the inner workings of this corrupt system and the things that he had learned from his coach in MK Ultra, because he thought he had Manson under his total control. He was freely giving him information that he wouldn't have otherwise been privy to. He wouldn't have gave it. Now, the pictures, they always show him in the picture with the teacher, the coach, the one who trained SikApe and the one who trained Manson. It's the same guy. He's in a picture with Jim Jones. But if you look in the caption, everybody in the picture named except him. It's 6 people in the picture, 5 people named. It's 3 people in the picture, 2 people named. They never give his name in none of the captions of the picture, because he was an MK Ultra government operative and handler designed to go out and recruit what they called the generals to foment the race war. And this is why Charles Manson kept saying they're trying to start a race war. And then the news media said Charles Manson said he came to start a race war. And they land on him. They showing what he's saying, and then they telling us what to believe from what he said. And the general public fell for it, and the jury convicted him, and he ain't never told nobody to kill nothing. As a matter of fact, he used to tell them that they need to be one with nature if they wanted to escape this thing that was coming. And if they don't tune in to nature, they will not be able to find an escape. And now all of a sudden he's a serial killer. They just blew SikApe up because they couldn't trust him in the joint because he was too good at what he did. And they didn't want no brother like that teaching brothers in the penitentiary how to be that effective. And if he could send 5 of them out to be as effective as him, he could have took over the whole West Coast. So they just went on and blew him on up. Blowed him all the way off the map. Patty Hearst just got lucky and escaped from the raft, right? But she went to prison. Jimmy Carter gave her a pardon because they came in and exposed the connection to MK Ultra, and then they started saying that Joseph SikApe used mind control on Patty Hearst. You damn right he did. He learned it from your government officials in your military, in your operations, your MK Ultra. That's why he showed mind control her, right? That's why she was able to get a pardon, because they call that in law irresistible impulse, the inability to conform your conduct to the requirements of the law due to external circumstances or situations. She's exempt under the law from criminal activity when it's under duress. It's the same as if the government create a crime and they recruit you to be partners in the crime with them. They can't do that. That's entrapment. Every one of these leaders we talking about, whether it's Angel Bay, whether it's Larry Hoover, whether it's Malachi York, they all in there from government conspiracies. The government created the circumstance in order to remove them from being good leaders to the people. And as long as we don't realize what's going on, they continue to do it. But the more of us become aware of the function of the situation, what are they doing? Why are they moving like that? Why they keep running this Joe Biden fiasco in front of us as if we don't know that this character that they running is not Joe Biden. And fact checkers said that Joe Biden's grave is not Joe Biden's grave and we made it up. When you can go onto the website, Arlington Cemetery, and pull it up yourself. And the fact checker said it's false. Come on now. I screenshotted the video while I went to the site, Arlington Cemetery site, and pulled up his obituary. They told us the story, and then they told us the cover story. They call him Homicide Joe. No, Genocide Joe. That's what they call him. They say he Genocide Joe and he was put to death for crimes against humanity. But the cover story gonna be different. It's told you the whole cover story. This is gonna be a different cover story. But who is this character masquerading as Joe Biden? Now, well, they got different characters. It's not the same one all the time. Sometimes it's some dude named Arthur something. Another time it's Jim Carrey. You know when it's Jim Carrey because he do the thing that he used to do on Mask. And then he got the other one where he give you this powerful, coherent speech. That's James Woods. They all play a different part of the Joe Biden narrative. And if we don't see this stuff going on in front of our face, it got to be at least 5. It got to be at least 5. Because I done seen different heights of, Arthur Roberts. And I done seen different heights for Joe Biden. So when he be standing against certain people at different times, he not always the same height. It's so many differences. So the one with the ear attached, the one with the ear detached. Yep, James Woods too. They use James Woods when they want to give a coherent speech, because he can throw his voice and sound similar enough to Biden where they can adjust it with the optics from the computer, so it'll sound like it's Joe Biden. Yep. Then you got about 4 different chins. Yep, the left-handed one, the right-handed. Everybody's seeing it, but we ain't saying nothing. We all know it's a whole storyline playing out. We see it. We see it. There's too many of us that see it. I think George Clooney is too heavy in the face and the neck to play the character. But it's possible because they use the green screen and the CGI in order to doctor the film. Yeah, look, at some point when we realize that we really is actively reclaiming the land, reclaiming the country from this legal fiction, you got to realize that the United States is a corporation like Halliburton. You got to realize that the same way that Bush and Cheney set Halliburton up to run Iraq and Afghanistan is the same way the Crown of England and the Vatican set up America to run the same way an interim government. The interim government is not your government. That's why the police got firearms, because we in a police state. They tell you we not, that we in something called a democratic republic. That's an oxymoron in and of itself. Right? I think Dana Carvey too short. But if he's seated, he could get away with it because he is a master of disguise, as they say. But all these different things, well, I ain't so sure about Gucci Mane. I didn't even look into that when I was seeing it deep enough to know. But I do know that some of them tattoos ain't lining up. Well, it's a guy. It's at least two Kamala Harrises. One of them is a dude dressed in drag. The same as at least one of the Michelle Obamas is a man. But one of them is a woman. One of the Kamala Harrises is a woman, and the other one is a man. This is crazy. Kim Kardashian is the queen of the damned. Right? All these people watch the chain reaction. Right? They kept Epstein the secret long enough to gather up the rest of the dirty players. Now all this stuff's got to come out. It's got to come out. And it looked like it could be all blowed up by I never seen Maya Rudolph, but it wouldn't surprise me. I know I've seen at least two Kamala Harrises. One is a woman and one is a man. And I've seen a slew of Joe Bidens. It's at least 3 Donald Trumps. And they have tails. They don't always move the same. They got what they call subtleties that you learn to look for. These subtleties might be a little quirk that one person have that another person don't. Like, it might be a person that always touch their face like this. All of a sudden, when you see them, they doing this now. That's a different subtlety. So that's a different person. But when they put the theatrical effect to it, you're going to be confused. 7 Trumps. I know it's at least 3 Trumps. So the Beyonce in the country music, if you watch the country artists have been doing R&B for years. But because they have a country accent and they use certain instruments, it's classified as country. One of the biggest country and western writers was Lionel Richie from the Commodores, right? And the Commodores fell out with Lionel Richie for giving songs to Kenny Rogers that they said they should have been recording, right? So this ended up leading to their split. Anyway, the reason is country music is old Mississippi blues. I'm going to say that again. Country music is old Mississippi blues. You had the harp blues, you had the banjo blues, you had the box guitar blues. Then you had the what they called the harp was the harmonica. Then they took the fiddle. Different genres of blues became bluegrass music and country music. The reason why Beyonce would need to even do country is to remind us of where it came from for a reason. Because we are the salt of the earth. We came up with all these genres of music. It started with Scott Joplin and ragtime. Then it was hard bop. Then it was bebop. Then it was swing. Then it was swing jazz. Then it was hard bop, bebop, all of these different genres of jazz. Then you had blues, rhythm and blues, soul music. Out of this, you get rock and roll. From the rock and roll guitar of Jimi Hendrix, you end up with heavy metal and death metal. So when you're looking at the history of music, you're going to trace any music that come from this land, even hip hop, back to the Mississippi Delta. When you get to Louisiana, and if you know the culture from the early 1900s, when the brothers used to meet each other coming out the fields, they used to have this thing where they say, "What's your rap?" And when they say, "What's your rap?" you tell them about yourself in witty wordplay of rhythmic rhyme. I walked 47 miles of barbed wire. I got a cobra snake for a necktie. I got a cabin down by the roadside made out of rattlesnake hide. I got a brand new chimney sitting on top made out of human skull. Come on, walk with me, little girl, tell me who do you love. That's a song from the 50s. That's a song from the 50s, right? But that's what they say, what's your rap? Then over time, those in the players clubs begin to do rhythmic rhymes to toast and celebrate the occasion. These became known as toasts, and some of them were so strong that people would write them down and disseminate them or teach them to other people in other parts of the country, right? Like the Jungle Creed, say the strong must feed on any prey at hand. I sat at the feast and was labeled a beast before I was a man, right? So that's an old toast. We know about Rudy Ray Moore and Dolomite, right? But we don't know that all of these are contributing factors to hip-hop. Hip-hop also have another contributing factor of the spiritualist movement in the 1900s. They called it rapping and tapping. This is when you beating on the tables and you tapping for spirits to knock back. This is them speaking to us in the future, and when we pick it up in the future, it's going to come out as a song on the table. Rapping and tapping. We going to be rapping the song and somebody going to be beating on the table with a pencil at lunch, picking up the message that was laid down 100 years ago. But only certain ones gonna know how to translate it into the common language so that the people can know what we rapping about. To the end of time. Back for everything they owe. What we rapping about. Right? Is it wrong to fight for what's mine? Come on now. It's ambitions of a rider we talking. So when you start remembering that there's more than one way to skin a cat, it's more than one way to bust a gat, and there's more than one way to die. Sometimes you can die without being dead. Perception creates reality. What you perceive to be the truth might not be the truth, but because you perceive it as so, it's true to you. But to other people, you got some people that's trained to see behind the cracks in the doors from the other side of the room, right? How you gonna guarantee to spark the brain if you ain't part of a program that make a brain spark? You got to be part of a program to spark brains. Well, who got a program to spark brains? We do. It's called a redemption process. It's called the process of restoring the tribes back for their rightful place. Yeah. It's anomalies in the murders of the ones they said was dead that average people overlook. They said that Pimp C was shot in the head, but when they did the autopsy, he didn't have a bullet nowhere. Make it make sense. Right? Then they changed the cause of death. They said that what looked like blood all over his hotel bed turned out to be what's that stuff? Lean. Because he was getting high. Come on now. They had to shut that brother up talking about them drag